Hi everybody, this is Taylor Hamblin here. I am going over my second week now, and yeah, we've had a great time. The kids have been really fun. A little tired today on Monday, but other than that, we've been really starting to dig into our personalities. So I've gone through 4 classes so far, and yeah, no, we've been just building up our identities, and it's been really fun. So I'm gonna jump right in, and again, this is week 2 now, and for the teachers who are watching this, this is really the week where I start focusing on the idea of what is your identity, what's your personality, like what things make you you, and how can we relate that to what we're learning in class? How can we relate to your big projects? And so really, I do include this in my project-based learning exercises and the work I do because I really feel like you have to have a strong foundation of this kind of material first in order to help create the big project. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Right now we're here on Monday, August 27th. And what we started doing right away is we built their portfolio online. We mostly worked on this idea that a lot of what we're going to be doing is online, using the Chromebooks, Google Drive. And so a lot of the reflecting, a lot of the work, a lot of the essays, definitely a lot of the writing for their big projects are going to be online. So I showed kids today what that's like how to organize in folders. And it only took about 5 to 10 minutes per class, pretty simple. And really all we did was just organize it. We didn't really do any writing or reflecting today. But instead what we did was this thing called 16 Personalities Online Test. I'll even click open and show you. Sorry, looking at my other screen, so sometimes I'm going to be jumping back and forth just so you understand. But yeah, no, you guys can see what it's called, 16 Personalities. It's a really fun test. And if you look at it, you can take the test right here. And it basically just tells you your personality type. If you're familiar with Myers-Briggs, same thing. But it gives you resources. It gives you a lot of resources that go along with the personality type. So it is really enjoyable. And we did that today. And I record with my paper right here. And I record the kids and what they are. And we start talking about hey, read your information just to start kind of brushing over what you think you might be, which is really entertaining. The students, either like, oh my god, that sounds just like me, or oh, that doesn't sound like me at all. I don't sound like myself at all. I feel like my throat's been killing me. All those California fires that just really mess with my sinuses. So sorry if I sound funny this week. But back to it. The kids really get a lot of information out of it. So we reflect, we talk, we do describe what cliques are and groups. And we start talking why young people fall into those groups and cliques. But today was a really easy day. A lot of the kids like it just because they get to learn about their personality type. And we also talked about our shelter-in-place strategy. We had more of a sign-up for responsibilities during that. And going on to Tuesday, our activities on Tuesday, we're going to do a big reflection. It'll probably be longer than 10 to 15 minutes, I think. What it most likely will be is students are going to create their first reflection page on their online portfolio. And they're going to start reading their information from 16 Personalities and really trying to dig into who am I, what am I, do I agree with this, do I disagree with this? And they're going to actually fill in boxes I have in a pre-prepared doc, and they're basically just going to analyze themselves. And eventually they're going to write an essay about themselves. But right now we're just gathering information and data. That'll take 10 to 15 minutes in class. And then there's another thing called Zello. It's kind of similar to 16 Personalities. Our counselors are using it, and so we're going to have them fill that information out before our school counselor gets here. And he's coming in a few weeks, actually 2 weeks from now. He's coming in, and he's going to be going through just this information with them. So we're really excited for that. Let's see, Matt. Almost 4 minutes, okay. I'm trying to say at that 10-minute mark that I told you guys about last week. So the Zello activity talks more about personalities. Again, we're trying to build that personality, build that information about themselves. So a lot of people might say, well, don't you do projects right now? I'm like, yeah, we are. This is the project. This is very much a part of it, them reflecting on who they are and what they want to do. Let's see, next we have future goals. And so once they get their Zello activity done, Zello actually tells them some possible careers for them. So they're going to read some careers they could possibly do. And again, I'm going to ask them, what about these careers could you show in your big projects? If you're going to be an architect, for example, what about that job could you show or master or learn while we do these projects? So a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking. Most students really do enjoy it because they get to think about things they like. So that'll pretty much take us through Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we actually get more into the actual mindset of social studies and civics and history. I actually showed the students, first we actually do a strength reflection. We talk about what they want to be for their future, which very much goes along with what we just did. And when we come to creating a survey, students are actually going to take a mock survey. I think this example should work. So you can see it online. And this is an interest survey, and it basically just asks a bunch of random questions that the students can answer. It's just an example of like what they can make their survey like. And the students are all going to make a survey, and we're going to compile them all together. And students are actually going to get to ask each other questions about themselves. I've already built a survey too that they're going to take later, but I'm going to add those questions. And so students are going to be able to get basically a pie chart of everyone's opinion about certain topics. So I'm going to basically use it as a tool and say, like, hey, look, there's 100 of you, and 80%, sorry, bell went off. I'm going to say 80% of you believe this one thing. What does that tell you? Are you concerned by that? Should that be something that you like or dislike? So again, it's going to be kind of a new way for them to reflect and think. So we're going to do that on Wednesday. And they're also going to learn about this, the National History Day categories. They're going to learn about like what the categories are, what they could be doing. And so if you scroll through, I had to open it up on my other computer here. If you scroll through, you should see that there's 5 categories. There's papers, there's performances, and there's exhibits, documentary, and websites. And again, you can pause the video at any time if you want to read the details of these documents. But basically, these docs kind of go into like, hey, do you, like for example, I'll use the first one for historical paper. Do you have strong writing skills? Do you want to be a policeman, an author, a teacher, a soldier, an economist, a lawyer? You'll need those strong reporting skills, those strong writing skills if you want to be any of those things. And I did that for each one. I try to be very diverse. I'm sure the kids will help me out. I'm sure they'll give me more. I'm sure on when we start doing the counseling stuff and we start learning about the jobs they want, I'm going to try to incorporate what they want. But again, this entire week is just about like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And even though they don't know, they're middle schoolers, they're not 100% sure. And even if you teach high schoolers, again, for the teachers watching these videos, they're not going to know. And that's okay, but it's definitely a way to get them started. So we're going to do that. We're going to show them the different categories. I'm going to start getting them to think like, oh, maybe I should do this kind of category. And I give them the option to switch too. So let's see, that's Wednesday pretty much. And then going into Thursday, I have here, it says Civics Interest Survey. So this is a different Civics Interest Survey that I'm going to create based off of their interests, based off the questions that they came up with. A lot of them are going to come up with the same questions. And so I'm going to scroll through, I'm going to add things, and I already have some questions on here. I can go ahead and open that too. Let's see what it says. Yeah, so for the very first one, it says, does your race, the color of your skin, affect how people treat you in society? And we're going to talk to the kids like, yes, some kids say they think it does, some it doesn't. That question tends to be on the higher percentage of yes, but some people don't. And so for those students who are like, oh my God, yes it does, I can say, well, you have colleagues or peers who don't think it does. So therefore, it's your job to prove it. So if you're really passionate about that subject, maybe you should be thinking that as your big project. It has something to do with race. Or another one, should you be allowed to pray in school? Same kind of questions. There's probably about 30 of them on here so far. And yeah, again, I'll add more depending on what the students think. We're going to do some short answers. We're also going to do a historical theme selection lesson. So we're going to start talking to the kids about like what their passions are. Again, I'll open that doc up. Let's see what it says. Yeah, historical theme selection lesson. So it's basically going to talk about like what kind of history do you like, what kind of events do you want to study. Just again, diving into those historical passions. On the second page here, I have a long list of different kinds of histories. I'm sure I'm missing some. If anybody has recommendations on what I could add, please let me know. But yeah, these are basically the list that I use, and I explain what these things are. Like, so for example, kids a lot of times don't know what nationalism means. So like what I highlighted here, I have to explain what nationalism is. And so we'll go through all these. We'll talk to kids again. I was like, guys, this is not the end. This is not the end all. We are going to continue to discuss this, but this is just a starting point or a midpoint or whatever. So again, we're going to talk about all those things. Moving on. And then, yeah, we're on Friday now. So Friday is actually my first historical lesson, where we actually start diving into some history. And I'm going to be talking about the myth of Pocahontas. I'm going to be focusing on the actual myth and story. I picked that because of the Disney movie that most of the kids have seen. If they haven't seen it, most kids have been familiar with it, so I can show them a clip on YouTube pretty easily, just showing them about the myth. And we start talking about what a myth is. And then I actually show them primary sources for the first time. and we started digging into like, okay, these primary sources are from this person, they have this perspective, this bias, and I started going into actually sourcing. I don't have the hyperlinks in here yet, I will, but I've actually made videos that help students dig into sources. So I'll post those, but yeah, that's the week, and I'm really excited. Just to kind of summarize again, the week's all about finding identity, finding ourselves, finding our perspectives, and then connecting that to maybe our big projects. And so we are going to make a reflection on it, and that'll actually be one of the first things I share with my parents, and I'll actually ask the parents to build on that. I do want the parents to be involved. So if anyone ever has any questions or comments, if you're a parent, please let me know. If you're a teacher watching this and you want any of these resources are not working for you, or if you have an idea, please again let me know. I would love to hear about them. So again, thanks for everybody. This has been Taylor Hamblin at History Forge. Please check out everything else. My website is being updated again, so we're going to need more primary source lessons. And yeah, hope to see you again next week. Thanks. Take care.